Good morning, Chasm listeners. This is Ryan Rothstein, the Farm Bill Biologist with the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District, and this is your weekly conservation report. Today I thought I might talk to you a little bit about some of the forestry options that we have through our office. Stearns County's actually got quite a few acres of woodlands, but very few of them are actively managed. And that's something we're looking to change, and we now have a few options through our office as far as woodland programs. So the first one that I want to talk about is the Sustainable Forest Incentive Act, and this is a short-term easement program. And essentially what you're agreeing to is that you're going to manage the woods as woods, and you're not going to develop it, you're not going to cut it all down and put a bunch of houses out there. And you will get paid for these acres for keeping them as such. So in order to be eligible for the Sustainable Forest Incentive Act, there's a few criteria you have to meet. The first is that you have to be up to date on your property taxes. The second is that you have to have at least 20 acres of woodland, and at least 50% of those acres have to be forest land, which essentially is just actively growing trees. You also need a registered forest stewardship plan in place, which is something that we can provide you here through our office. And then essentially, this short-term easement is limiting the property's use to only those forest management activities that are outlined in that forest stewardship plan. One thing with this program, you cannot double dip with other tax programs, things like 2C managed forest or green acres or rural preserves, so you can't also be enrolled in that. So basically with this forest stewardship plan, what that is a suite of management options that you can take for your woodland, and that's something where we would come out and do a site visit with you, essentially just trying to figure out what do you have going on out there, what type of woods is it, and what are your goals for those woods? What would you like to see? Is it hunting land that you'd like to have more deer on? Is it something you'd like to have a timber harvest and make a little income that way? So then after that, a woodland stewardship plan is written and then presented to you, and then those are certified through the DNR, and at that point you can follow that forest stewardship plan within the guidelines outlined in it. So the Sustainable Forest Incentive Act, this program is run through the Minnesota Department of Revenue, and the short-term easement is recorded at the county recorder's office. And like I mentioned, you do get paid for these. It's an annual payment per acre, and the payment rates aren't terribly high, but these woodland acres are also typically acres you're not making any money on anyways. And there are different options for these short-term easements. You can choose from either an 8-year, a 20-year, or a 50-year easement. And the payment rates go up as the length of the easement increases. And these do tend to run with the land, so even if you sell it, they are still bound by that easement. So the other program I wanted to talk about today is what's called Class 2C Managed Forest Land. Now this is a little different in that this is a tax reduction program, so you're not actively getting paid for enrolling in this program, but what it does is it reduces your overall property tax rate. So if you're enrolled in Class 2C Managed Forest Land, your classification rate goes to 0.65%, rather than what's typical for most forested land is 1%. So essentially, by enrolling in this program, it can reduce your property taxes on those acres by almost a third. So there are a few criteria with this as well to be eligible. Similar to the last program, you need to have at least 20 eligible acres, and you also need to have a forest stewardship plan that's registered with DNR. And again, we can write those for you through our office. And then you cannot have building areas enrolled in this program. So they do have exclusion areas around buildings. But if it's just something minor like a shed where you're storing things with no power, that does not count. So again, you can get these forest stewardship plans written through our office. And if you have any interest in either of these woodland programs, or if you just would like a woodland stewardship plan just to have an idea of what you could do with your woods, feel free to contact us here. You can ask for Ryan, and I can help you along with that process. If you need to get a hold of us, our number is 320-251-7800, extension 3. And again, you can ask for Ryan. So once again, my name is Ryan Rothstein, Farm Bill Biologist with the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District, and this has been your weekly conservation report.